Hey, welcome into our UT opponent analysis of the Vanderbilt Commodores, Tennessee's opponent in the regular season finale Saturday at Neyland Stadium. I'm Vince Ferrara. Great to have you with us. It's part of Vince's View, powered by Jim Style CPA. We're at Jim's office here today, and you can stop by and see Jim at 8930 Cross Park Drive, Suite 3 in West Knoxville. Tell you about Jim in just a couple of minutes. The Vanderbilt Commodores coming in at 4-7, 0-7 in the SEC, same record as Tennessee. So we got a battle of winless SEC teams, and certainly there could be a lot of history that's made for Tennessee in a negative way if Tennessee loses this game. Tennessee has never been winless in conference play. Tennessee has never lost 8 games in a season. Losing to Kentucky and Vanderbilt in the same season, that hasn't been done. So lots of things in recent history, at the very least, that can be done in a negative way if Tennessee cannot win this game against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt coming off being waxed at home by Missouri 45-17. And Vanderbilt has won 3 of the last 5 in this series, so they're going to be plenty confident. And they actually have a lot to play for because they have a more realistic opportunity to get to a bowl game than Tennessee does. Even though they both have the same record, Vanderbilt with a 5th win would get to 5-7, but they're going to have a great APR. So if they're needing 5-7 teams to get to a bowl to fill all the bowl slots, you expect Vanderbilt to be in a good position for that and likely take one of those spots, and they would likely accept a bowl bid in that scenario. Now, Tennessee, on the other hand, if they get to 5-7, you don't know where they're going to fall in terms of APR, and then would they even accept a bowl bid in that situation since they have a coaching change? Missouri, most recently after Gary Pinkel declined a bowl bid below 500. So I expect Tennessee to decline it, but I asked Brady Hoke about it this week. He said there hadn't been any discussions on that. They're just worrying about trying to beat Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt started the season hot at 3-0. And ever since then, they've lost 7 of their last 8. Vanderbilt, a much different team when they win versus when they lose. In their 7 losses, Vanderbilt has given up, on average, 46 points per game. In their 4 wins, they're only giving up 7.5. So early in this game, you should be able to get a feel for which Vanderbilt defense is going to show up and what that means for Tennessee. Of course, last year's game, costly for Tennessee, losing in Nashville the way they did in the regular season finale and really costing Tennessee an opportunity to get to a Sugar Bowl. And, who knows, maybe takes a little bit of pressure as a starting point for Butch Jones this year, and maybe the fan base looks at this year a little bit different. This Vanderbilt team offensively is much different than I think a lot of people expected. Expected them to run the ball great and maybe being consistent in the passing game. Hasn't been the case. Quarterback Kyle Shermer has looked pretty good, and he has thrown for, on average, more than 300 yards passing per game in the last 4 games. In fact, Vanderbilt is 3rd in the SEC in passing yards. Vanderbilt. And then on the other hand, they haven't run the ball as well as you would expect. Ralph Webb is 9th on the SEC's all-time rushing list, but he's having his worst season in terms of yards this year as a senior with 688 yards rushing, but he's still a very capable back. Now, they haven't been able to put those two together, and that's really been kind of the big thing for Vanderbilt. Can they get the running game and the passing game going at the same time? Defensively, this is supposed to be a pretty salty, stingy unit. It hasn't been under head coach Derek Mason, who runs that defense. They have some good individual players, but they, in a lot of games, have been really shredded defensively. Inside linebacker Oren Burks is probably the best overall defender. We talked to him at SEC Football Media Days. Ladarius Wiley is their leading tackler. He's a free safety. And then on the outside linebacker, Charles Wright is 4th in the SEC in sacks with 8. So they have some good individual players. Keys to this game, I'm not going to bother in this game, honestly. Both of these two teams are not playing good football. They're struggling. And then Tennessee's got a ton of injuries as well. And who knows what we're going to get from these two teams. Someone's going to have to play different than what we've seen for a long period of time. One thing to keep in mind, and as a side note in this game, John Kelly is one of only 2 backs in the nation that leads his team in both rushing and receiving. The other one is Saquon Barkley at Penn State. That has never happened in Tennessee football history in the modern era, where a player has led the Vols in both rushing and receiving at season's end. The last time that a running back led Tennessee in receiving was 1963. Rob Percella was tied for the lead. And the last time a non-wide receiver led the Vols in receptions on the season was 2002 with Jason Witten, future Hall of Famer. Tight end was tied for the team lead. Now, John Kelly right now sits 5 catches ahead of Brandon Johnson. Kelly with 36 and Brandon Johnson with 31. So that's a little bit of individual history that could be made on Saturday. We'll look for that. And I know what that means. That certainly speaks to the rough and inconsistent, not only wide receiver play, but quarterback play as well. Jim Styles, personal service, absolutely second to none. Whether it's tax returns, new business, bookkeeping, or financial statements, Jim is going to take care of you like he has for many people in this community for many years. And those initial meetings are absolutely free. So it'll help you go over last year's tax returns and get you a great plan for this year, the peace of mind to get it done and get it done right, get you the maximum amount of money, and then also knock it out, get it out of the way. Makes a big difference. Jim Styles is a game changer. Let him help you out with your money. He can certainly do that. Call him at 694-4484, 694-4484, or you can find them on the website at jimstylescpa.com. And remember, those initial meetings are absolutely free. All right, that's going to do it for our UT opponent analysis of the Vanderbilt Commodores. You guys enjoy the game. This will obviously be our last one of the season, but if you go to sportsradiownml.com, go to the blog section, look for my name, Vince Ferrara, and you'll see Vince's View, powered by Jim Styles CPA there. Plenty more on Tennessee's coaching search, on the postseason in the SEC, involving SEC teams and bowl games with predictions, the NFL, and much, much more on Vince's View, powered by Jim Styles CPA. I'm Vince Ferrara. Thanks again for watching. We'll talk to you soon.